is what's best for business.
I gotta go take a big hairy dump.
Oh my God.
Tonight's main event, a tag team match.
Yes. 26.
Hello everyone and welcome to the Let's Talk Wrestling podcast, the podcast where we review every segment of Raw and give you the wrestling news of the week. I'm getting increasingly good at these intros, so that's always a good thing. My name is Turbo Tony, and we're here with the man who invented Chris Jericho, Matt Marsander.
But Jericho invented everything, so it's all stuck in that temporal loop thing.
Yeah. What came first, the Jericho or the Jericho?
That's it.
Yeah, that's the real question here. Answers on a postcard. So, thanks a lot, you guys, for catching our episode this week. We're kind of in the WrestleMania dull that we had over, a couple of Raws now post WrestleMania, so we don't really, start going into that dull period that always comes every year. We're used to it by now, anyway. But it kind of seeped into this week's Raw. We'll go through the wrestling news anyway this week. First of all, Matt, before I start, how have you been? I forgot to ask you this week.
I've been very good.
Yeah, I always ask you every podcast. Maybe I'm not doing well by you anymore. Maybe
That's it.
Yeah, dissension in the LTW ranks. Maybe So first of all, before we get started, we did have a comment last week on talking about our podcasts that should never happen, and we had a comment saying that Sid Vicious was a podcast that should never happen, and I fully agree.
Yes, completely. How we could have overlooked Sid Vicious.
The guy with half the brain that we do. I always crack up whenever I see that promo, because it's just... I think it was Kevin Nash in the ring, and he's just laughing his arse off right there all the time. Do you know that promo that I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know exactly the one where he sort of starts tripping on his words.
Yeah. And he thinks he's being completely serious, and he's looking around, he's like, why is everyone laughing? He doesn't even realise what he said. Oh, dear. So, yeah, I agree, fully agree, endorse that. Thumbs up for that one, so awesome. Wrestling news this week. It seems like every single week that we talk about wrestling news, we talk about someone, a wrestler or someone involved in wrestling industry, or someone related to a wrestler has died. The same has happened this week. No, huh? Daniel Bryan's father passed away this week.
Oh, yes.
Which obviously explains more on Raw. We'll talk about his segment on Raw. But, he found out as he came back from his honeymoon with Brie Bella. And, it's never good whenever you hear anyone in your family's passed away. So
what did WWE do? Drop him all over the floor.
Now, I've got a reason for that. We'll talk about it in the Raw review, because I actually think that was probably the best thing they could have done for Bryan leading
easily.
And kudos to him for being that, but like I said, we'll cover that anyway. But yeah, it must suck. I mean, this is the biggest moment biggest time in Daniel Bryan's career, and I'm not going to say like, oh, it's really badly timed. You can't really time these things, but yeah, you feel for the guy. In the biggest rise of his career, just have it doesn't matter how big your career gets, that's going to hurt no matter what.
Oh, yeah.
So, in a bit more of interesting news, Mick Foley has refused to sign a WWE Legends deal. Have you heard about this, Matt?
I have, yeah.
Yeah. Mick Foley, who has had one of these deals before, essentially, the reason being is because when you get these Legends deals, it means you're eligible to be in the video games. But the payoff for the video games that he's been involved in before has not been as high as he was expecting, so he's not thinking of signing the contract until maybe that deal comes along or anything along those lines. Now, the WWE Legends deal is something that they do a lot with wrestlers. I mean, I imagine that Warrior was probably put on that deal before he passed away. Obviously, he was in sense to be involved in the new video game. But with a lot of these guys coming in, I mean, the video game payoff is something I know a lot of the talent actually get quite excited about. They do get quite a bit of money. But with THQ going bust, I can imagine it's probably throwing that a little bit out of whack. So it'll be down to that. And we've got to remember that Vince McMahon was owed money by THQ before that was finished, and obviously he's not going to get that money back now. So interesting that. And you can't, unless this is obviously resolved between Foley and WWE, which I don't think they're going to push the boat out to Foley at all, then you can't be expecting any of Mick Foley's personalities on future video games. So no Mr. Socko versus the Cobra. So... even though that kind of maybe is for the better. We've seen that on WWE TV. So, yeah, a bit of unfortunate news for you gamers out there. I mean, personally, I haven't actually I didn't recently buy the last two WWE video games. I know you did the last year one, but you didn't get 2K14 this year, did you?
I didn't get 2K14, and to be perfectly honest, whilst I did get 13, the playtime I got out of it, I don't see why I bought it.
It gets to a point now, it's just like, there's not really much being put into, so I just go back, and the only thing I'd really want to buy a new one for, which I may do next one, because the roster update, you've got the Shields, you've got the Wyatt family, would be awesome to get it then, but that's really the only thing that I'd buy it for. It's like football games for me, I miss 1 year and I buy every 2 year increments, because to me it's just, you're spending about €60 as it is over here in Ireland. For a video game, that's not really going to give you that much different from what you've already got. And I'm a creative guy in those games and creative stuff, so you can make your own fun in those games, which is the thing. So that's all the wrestling news this week. Reason being, there's not more, is because me and Matt are actually recording this much earlier in the week than we usually do. So if there is any news from here on to the weekend, then we'll add that in the next episode. So we'll have more news that week. But still a little bit there for you. So, unless there's any news you'd like to talk about, Matt.
I can't really think of anything that warrants a mention.
Yeah, I mean,
quite weak.
If the man who invented Chris Jericho can't think of anything, who am I to say anything?
There's nothing to say.
There's nothing to say. So, I would like to also say, Matt, as well, that there is not nearly as many Bo Dallas references that I have planned this week.
Yeah, but unfortunately we did have to sit through 2 Bo Dallas fucking... promos.
And you know me, I like to troll. Maybe I'm lulling into a false sense of security. There could be some references hidden in there, you just don't know. So
we'll see.
I think you'll just have to believe me. So
there we go.
This week's Raw emanates from Baltimore. Do you remember Baltimore, Matt? We reviewed this on the Old School Raw episode just after the relaunch, and we essentially buried the crowd. The crowd was shit.
Yes.
They had
I think they sort of like, if you came to us before, don't come back. We'll accept a different crowd.
Yeah. Well, this crowd seemed a lot different from the one that was at Old School Raw, because this was not as good a show as the Old School Raw, but they were definitely into the show. So it seems a bit odd.
Oh yeah.
They gave them a better show and they didn't, but this close maybe after WrestleMania, you got more wrestling fans heading to these things, so maybe it's a bit more of a rambunctious crowd. It doesn't rival the crowd response that that we've gotten used to after WrestleMania season, but for what it is usually, that's fine. But like I said, we remember Jake the Snake coming back and getting literally no pop whatsoever, and that really got on us. But no, I think if he would have come back at this night, if you kind of changed things around, I think he probably would have got a pretty big pop from that crowd. So yeah. Good enough crowd this week. We will not bury you any further, Baltimore. You have redeemed yourself for now.
That's it.
We said we were watching you. I went back and listened to that podcast of ours. We said that we were watching them, so... Yeah.
And it comes back, and you pleased us. Boss.
You've pleased us. We are pleased.
Well done.
Overlords of the Let's Talk Wrestling podcast. So, first segment is probably one that we'll talk about a bit here. It opens with Daniel Bryan, and he got a big pop, obviously, as you expect, but he looks quite forlorn, and as you can understand, his dad has just died, so he wasn't exactly going to be... He did his best he could, but you could tell the guy was hurting, shall we say.
Struggling, yeah.
He did the yes chant with Brie Bella in the ring, and before he said... I just want to make a quick note here. You can expect Brie Bella to be involved in a lot more stuff involving Daniel Bryan in the near future, especially now they've made it relevant in storyline. So she may even be somehow involved during this whole Kane stuff, maybe at the pay-per-view or anything along those lines. But anything that's going to involve Bryan, she's going to be somewhere close to the mix now. They've kept them separated for a while, but
I think now it's just like, now it's sort of got out. It's got out that obviously there is more to the WWE than what goes on outside of a ring. So everyone knows they got married. Everyone knows they were dating, or at least, that they were engaged. Yeah. So it's just like, well, no hiding it anymore.
Exactly. And with this Total Divas stuff, it's not as if it's like not going to be like filmed or put over Total Divas like in the future anyway. So they're going to incorporate into storyline, and I don't really like it, but it's what we expect. But before they can say anything, Steph McMahon comes out.
Mm-hmm.
She's back to... If you remember, we were really praising Triple H and Stephanie McMahon leading up to WrestleMania because they went back to a uber heel, which they hadn't done for years and years and years and years and years. She's back to fake face, which is probably the best way I can describe it.
Yeah, simple enough.
I don't like it when she's fake face. Are you under the same sort of thing?
Yeah, you sort of very much just sort of spent the whole time just looking at it, just like, no, I'm not buying it.
No. It's not so much that like, it's just I think she's so much better as an Uber heel. Just be the Uber heel. There's not enough Uber heels on the roster at the moment, and Steph is great as one of them. And as the fake face, which is our tongue twister of the week, by the way, is I just prefer her much as an Uber heel. I don't think fake face is really good for her, and Triple H as well, personally. But she announces Kane as Bryan's Extreme Rules opponent. So they're going to have a match as Monster Kane.
For the title.
This is
the one thing I don't understand. It's just like, we've got this entire sort of like intercontinental like tournament thing going on, and it's just like, and Kane is getting a chance. Yeah. Why? Because fuck you, that's why.
Well, we did say in the last episode that we're going to be expecting the Authority not to be directly going for Bryan, but they're going to be sending guys after him to try and get the position. This just seems to be...
I was reading something somewhere with... I don't know where it was, but someone was saying that the reason why is because the WWE World Heavyweight Championship is a storyline title, where the IC in the United States are more... titles, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I kind of get what you're saying. Yeah, like you're not going to have just these two guys fighting for the WWE title. There's got to be something surrounding it and leading up towards it. So yeah, I get what you mean. I firmly believe that if they really cared about the IC title and the US title, then it would be a storyline title. But they just don't care enough. They don't.
No, that's it.
They don't have enough plans or they just don't care. They just really don't give a shit about those belts. So that's the way it goes. But you know, maybe we're being too harsh. But certainly with the US title, we're correct. But with the IC title, they're doing a tournament around it, so there's a little bit there at least. But there's no storyline between whoever's going to win it and who's gonna. It's just they're going to be fighting against each other, sort of thing. So
yeah,
Kane ambushed Bryan outside the ring, and he's back now as the masked Kane, as you hadn't expected from last week.
Yep.
3 tombstones later, one on the outside, one on the steel steps.
Bored.
You were bored all the way through this, yeah?
Just like, wait, hang on, my chair just decided to explode.
Okay.
I saw leaning
not
back
unlike your chair's doing not what the announcer's desk did, you know. So
that's it. Yeah. Stay intact.
Yeah.
But it's just like the one on the outside. That's fine. You know, it's a tombstone outside.
Yeah.
And it's like, and then he's just gonna go on the steps. Okay. And here comes the EMTs. But no, Kane's not done. I just thought, I'm 20 minutes into Raw and already I want to turn it off.
I have to admit that if they're going to do this, I would think that the tombstone on the steel steps would be more savage than an unbreakable table, personally. But yeah, that's the way I go about it.
I think the table was meant to go. It would have been a bit more interesting.
It just seemed a little bit lame, but you can't really. It's the unbreakable table. Sometimes it just doesn't give. Sometimes it does. You know why we both know why this was done. This was done to write Daniel Bryan off TV for this week and for as many weeks as he needs to get over and grieve for his father. So there's rumours that it's like, and he's not actually going to be back until Extreme Rules. It's like, that's fine. Yeah. Listen, like, you know, he needs as much time as he needs, and I give him kudos for showing up to the show. Apparently, as far as we know, he wasn't required to be there after knowing what had happened, but he did. He was like, well, you know, we need to build up this storyline, so let's do something, and he did. He went out there and he did his thing. So kudos to the guy. He's probably a better man than I did. I probably wouldn't have been able to do that. That's it. So, you know, and he was fair play. Yeah, fair play to him. Kudos for Daniel Bryan this week, and he is our Superstar Spotlight this week as well. So there we are. And we were very critical of Candy Cane, and rightly so. But if you're going to try and build him up as a monster again, I think this is pretty much as good of a start as you can get. I'd say start. That's it. A start to bring him back as a monster. They're going to have to do really well in the next couple of weeks. Get a Inferno match next. Yeah. But maybe they just put him up against a couple of squash guys. maybe a handicap match against like, I don't know, 3MB or something, or like a face team, and demolishes them. Build him up as this guy that looks like he's legitimately going to take the belts. He won't. But
sort of like a whole, don't forget, he can still destroy you.
Yeah, they've got to build him up as that monster again, because they did a spectacular job of tearing that whole persona down. So they've got to redo all that hard work to build him up as that monster again. But there is time, and it is possible, so, we'll see how it goes from there. But no more Candy Cane, hopefully. No more him handing out.
Yeah, that's it.
First,
it's like the video package that they put. Was it last week? They put this little video package together, like Kane's back, dun 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 dun, and it's like that's probably a lot of Kane's weaker stuff.
Yeah. And
actually, that they put in that package.
It's quite ironic because literally he made the turn to the mask literally about 10 minutes before that video package aired. Either they've got a wizard backstage that can just magic up video packages out of nothing, or you know what I mean. They're not doing much for the illusion of this. This isn't a scripted show at this point, but
that's it. It's like, you're telling me that this was planned.
Wrestling is a pre-planned thing.
Yeah.
Well, we might as well stop our podcast, man. What's the point?
Oh.
What's the point?
Shit.
We'll go podcast on something else, I guess. Don't know. Maybe food, cookery.
Strictly Come Dancing starting soon. We'll do that.
Yeah, I guess so. But it'll never be the same. Continuing on, LTW are the masters of sarcasm when it comes to professional wrestling podcasts. That's just the way it is. But so, bad news, Barrett. First match of the night, he had his semi-final match in the tournament against Sheamus. And if Barrett continues to have matches of the week, then he's going to get somewhere. And he did it again. This was match of the week.
Yeah, easily.
Bad news, Barrett against Sheamus. This was
such a physical match.
Yeah, and a brilliantly done match. And he got a clean win over Sheamus here. They don't come very often, clean wins over Sheamus. They still treat him somewhat well. They're not, I mean, Batista did beat him clean as well, but, Sheamus is certainly not like John Cena, but you're still very rare to get a clean victory over the guy. So
no, that's it.
That's pretty big for him.
It's good.
And one of the things that we also are quite critical of, which I have to change my mind about, I didn't like the ball hammer finisher, but if he keeps using it like this, where it's out of nowhere, like almost like Cesaro's uppercut.
Yeah, it's like an uppercut or like an RKO. It's a real, just like the moment you turn around, bang.
Yeah. So if he continues to use it like that, then I'm all for it. I think that's a good finisher if he continues to use it that way. But we'll see how it goes from there anyway. But yeah, big fan of this match, and really we should have seen it coming. Really, I mean these two. It's not the first time these two have wrestled before. And I'm not even talking about WWE. We're talking about
just general,
stuff over our side of the sea that these guys have wrestled in. So
yeah, like pre-WWE.
Yeah, that's it. We had a Bo Dallas promo. I will spare you about this, Matt. We've talked about these promos before. So.
Is it wrong that I want to see him turn up and then just like, because he's trying to plead all this self-help stuff, I just want like Bray Wyatt just to go like, all your self-help stuff's bullshit, and then just watch brother versus brother, just good old-fashioned sibling beatdown.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. Could do that.
I just want to see Bo Dallas hurt.
You just want to see.
Then he's doing his job. He's doing his job as a heel. I know, and it pains me the fact it's like I'm falling into it, but I really don't like Bo Dallas.
Maybe me doing all the references last week didn't really help, but
no.
So you say Bo? Did you say Bo there? I think you did.
Say Bo.
No. Okay.
No.
Oh well.
I will not say Bo.
They announced that. I'll move swiftly on for you there, Matt, to save your graces. I'm sure we'll talk about Bo Dallas plenty enough when he debuts. They announced anyway that Hugh Jackman's going to be back at Raw. Apparently, him and Dolph are now big buddies, and they're gonna.
After what? After he proper punched him in the jaw. Like, they showed that video footage, and I forgot how much. It's like, yeah, he clocked him.
Yeah, it was quite the sell job from Ziggler as well. But yeah, I get what you mean. But yeah, it's an X-Men plug, for Hugh Jackman.
Yeah,
and you can expect him to pretty much be involved in the same capacity as he was last time, probably even less.
Well, you mean like how Arnie wasn't really out? It's just like Hogan, just like Arnold dudes.
Yeah,
and then that was about it.
Yeah, that was pretty much it. I expect that you probably get one segment. That's all you're going to get from Hugh Jackman. They didn't even say he was going to be a guest host. They just said he was going to be on the show. So, fair enough. Hugh Jackman's all right, I guess. But Yeah, I'd like it more if like guys like Hugh Jackman and stuff who actually are genuinely good in front of a crowd, they give him a bit more time, especially if it's just going to be a shit show. But we'll see how it goes anyway.
That's it.
The vote this week was at least a little bit interesting.
Although very easy.
Very easy, yeah. I did, yeah. Basically, we could choose. We get Cena facing 1, 2, or 3 of the Wyatt family, members of the Wyatt family. I do reckon that WWE knew that that all 3 members were going to get picked.
Of course.
That's just the way it is. The majority of fans that have the app are wrestling fans. So they're the fans that boo Cena. So there you go. That's pretty much how it goes. Other than that, there's kids with mobile phones. I think fans who can pay for phones outweigh the kids that get phones, I guess. Maybe that's a different argument for a different podcast. There you go. We could podcast about that, Matt. You know. Yeah. You're on the same consensus then that you pretty much knew it was going to be the entire family that's going there. It's like, you give them a troll option against John Cena, what are they going to pick, really? You know, that's the way it's going. Yeah. This is something that I think that you're going to talk about in great length, and I'm looking forward to it. There's some topics that when I'm writing my notes, I'm like, Matt's going to have fun with this one. Los Matadores and El Torito went against 3.5 MB. I'll let you begin. I feel like I've opened the gate.
I'm choking myself with just the groans of hate. No.
No?
No. Just no. I did not. No. However, I have one question.
Mm-hmm.
This is number 1 of the bullshit finishes of this week. El Torito scored a blatant low blow on Drew McIntyre.
Yeah.
And it wasn't a disqualification.
I remember a World Heavyweight title being changed hands with Christian and Randy Orton for the very same thing. So you've got a point there.
Yeah.
So technically you're saying that 3.5 MB should have the DQ victory.
I don't think this match should have existed.
I was going to try and start debating with you the finalities of this, but I knew you wouldn't.
Just the fact that we even had that brief moment where it was Torito and Swoggle in the ring, I was just like, no.
And they're building up like it's Rock and Hogan, you know, but kind of through like laughing, you know. Maybe we'll get a mini division back. Do you remember when that was around, the mini division in WWE?
Yeah.
But personally, I mean, I'm with you. I don't think this is going to be a big feud. You know, I don't think it will reach the heights of the other feuds that are around.
I don't see it going that far, but it was shocking, to say the least.
You could say that it doesn't stand tall.
Cut above the rest.
No more kosher butcher, Matt. No more kosher butcher. Yeah, maybe we sunk a little bit low doing those sort of jokes, but nah, I don't care. They're funny. Matt. Yeah, as you say, Matt. In my notes, I've got Matadores win the match, but I really couldn't care. I've
got Matadores win bracket shit match.
Yeah, and it was. It was a comedy match that really was like. Yeah. The little kids, look at that little man, bust him in the nuts, and we're like, why don't you give us another Bad News Barrett Sheamus match of that quality, please? That's what we would like. Evolution come out all suited and booted. The first time we've actually had these like suited up heels. You actually sent me a message actually saying that it's been a while since we've seen any heel be suited and booted.
Yeah,
looking quite.
The thing is, when the limo turned up, I really wanted Nature Boy. I know we'll not get it, but I really wanted Nature Boy.
Yeah, I mean,
that's the other 3. Okay.
You see, the thing is about I think that if it was about Ric Flair, like he's obviously not going to be able to work with like the likes of the Shield. Even as a manager, I just don't think he's past that point. And personally, I would like it just 3-on-3, which kind of plays into what we're talking about with this feud, because it's not 3-on-3, unfortunately. Triple H had what sounded like either a very sore throat or he was marking out big time for Jake the Snake Roberts.
Yeah.
I don't know why his throat was so bad, but he was almost to the point like you probably shouldn't have done a promo. Would you agree? Just
no,
let the others
not
talk?
At all. They should have just left it. It's just like
because he sounded pretty bad. I think like because it didn't really matter what he said. I was just so much like, what's wrong with his voice? What's happened, sort of thing. So yeah. I really wasn't thinking about what he was talking about. Orton was horrendous on the mic. It just, like, if you read it, it's just, you know that if you were to read it and like listen to what he said, and just like without knowing that it was part of a show, you'd think he was reading off lines. So
Yeah.
that's Orton.
But then
in
you
a
get that
nutshell.
anyway.
Yeah. But it was even more evident this week. In terms of who was best in his promo, in terms of giving a promo, I have to give it to Batista. I think that he's actually more interesting on the mic.
He did serve very well on it.
Yeah. And he's a cut above Randy Orton. I don't care what anyone says. Batista actually sometimes is interesting in the stuff that he can deliver on the mic. Orton 99 times out of 100 is just the usual. I'm just saying what they told me to say, and it comes out that way.
Blah, scripted, blah.
So any Orton fans out there, deal with it. Batista there. Shield come out and very quickly Ambrose shows all of them how to do a promo. Would you agree? Would you agree with
yes.
that? Yes, the rest of
especially considering there was rage in that. Like it was really well done.
Yeah.
By the Shield. It was just sort of like the thing is, it was like for the Shield, for someone who's meant to be like the unofficial leader, Reigns really doesn't do that much talking.
Yeah, I still think he's like, best in that role.
You got a choice. We're going to come out there and kick your ass. And what are you going to do about it? Drops a mic.
Yeah.
It's like we've just spent like 10 minutes listening to like a real good bit of Aaron Ambrose, like being all like the crazy Ambrose, obviously.
Yeah.
And like we had Rollins just like, you drove the nail, and then at Extreme Rules we're going to be the hammer that drives it, sort of thing. And it's just like gold. And then it just Reigns is like, I'm going to put this mic down, and then I'm going to fight you.
Well, like, I mean, listen, we know that Reigns is the weakest out of the mic. He's still not bad, but he's the weakest. But I like him as that role.
I think it's because Reigns doesn't have to be strong on the mic.
You're exactly right. Yeah. He's got the physique. He can be that character who's like, I don't even want to talk, let's just do it, let's just fight. And that will get over with fans. There's not enough wrestlers that are like that now anyway, really. So, fair play, yeah. He doesn't have to be good on the mic. That's the part of putting him with the Shield as well, that he can learn from the other two how to do promos better. And he is better now than when he started. So, yeah, fair enough. And now, he got a big pop when he came down there anyway. But as they came down to try and fight with Evolution, the 11 men that was involved last week came out as well.
That's it, and here came the locker room.
This is what the problem I have with this actual feud. If it was more Shield against Evolution, which faction's best, who's going to be the better, much like how they did the Wyatts versus the Shield, it was like these two epic factions are going to go against each other. It's going to be a war, but it's going to be fair, and we're going to find out who's going to be the best faction, If they were to do this with this in Evolution, I would prefer it more, but because it's more like, well, we've got everyone in our pocket, it's more like, oh, okay.
That's it. It's just like we're just gonna get you beat up.
Yeah, it makes me as a fan think that they're gonna fuck finish it, and I don't want to be thinking of that. They don't want to go back to fans thinking that they're gonna get messed up. Yeah, like they had this bad enough when Battleground was going, all that catastrophe was going around about fuck finishes, and they're doing a lot of fuck finishes in matches. You were saying this just before we did the podcast that they're doing a lot of these finishes recently.
And it sucks.
Yeah, the more they do it, the more fans are not going to take their matches seriously, and that's the worst thing that can happen. So, Usos against the Brotherhood. If Brotherhood couldn't beat Ryback all the week before, we knew they definitely weren't getting a win over the Usos here. That's just
that's it.
Logic. Which depresses me, really, unfortunately. Ryback's all seem like they're going to be contenders for the belts, which is quite funny because they only won one match, but there we are. And for what it's worth, Ryback's was at least somewhat entertaining on commentary. Would you agree?
Oh yeah, I actually think Ryback's pretty good on commentary.
Yeah, he's like, I mean, Curtis Axel's boring as hell. He's not good at all, and some of them aren't. But Ryback is at least a little bit interesting. He likes his Twitter rants, doesn't he, Ryback?
Yeah, and then he deletes it.
Yeah, and then he deletes it. Yeah. But no, there was some fans calling for Ryback to retire and just go into commentary. He might have a lengthier career that way, but at least it looks like Ryback was getting a mini push. Not that I'm excited for it, and not that I would.
I don't think we'll see him take gold.
No, they're going to lose. They're going to be set up to lose against the Usos, and you know what? I'm perfectly happy with that because
well, Usos need people to beat.
Yeah, exactly. And why not beat Ryback, or the team that have been beaten by everyone? Why not? They're resident whipping boys that win one match and look like they're championship material. But also at the end of this match, there was some dissension within the Brotherhood, which you would expect. we said that once you lose against Rybaxel, there is no going back, and it definitely seems to be going that way.
Yeah.
You could expect.
I think we're gonna see what we've been saying for a while now. Is just like it's only a matter of time, but here comes the end of the Brotherhood.
Yeah, they've had an over 6-month run.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's not as if they've been for me. They've been really mishandled the last couple of months as a tag team. So if this gives them like another boost to have a rivalry against each other and get themselves more airtime, then I'm all for that. That's fine. Because they were going nowhere now as a tag team. So maybe that segment, that whole part of their chapter of their careers is over, and then they can move on to something else. But you hope that they move on to something better than what they've been locked in for the last 3 months, which is basically winning the odd tag match here and there and losing the odd tag match.
That's it.
So, and we know they're capable of a good match, Cody and Goldust. I mean, you'd be excited for a Cody Goldust match.
I'd love a Cody Goldust
match.
Great.
I don't think you'll get it as soon as Extreme Rules. You may do.
But I want it.
But yeah, we're excited for that match. That could be good. If they give it time, of course.
Yeah.
One person that could do with more time on air to actually show what she can do is Emma. She was in a match this week with Layla. Do you like that segment there? Do you like that segue? Yeah.
That was very well played.
I like it, yeah. This whole thing, again, is starting to depress me about Emma. It's now getting to the point where she's starting to get damaged by the actual program.
The association.
Let's just talk about this match, right? So, she basically faces Layla. It starts off with what looks like going to be a decent match at least. Or maybe I was hoping, but I don't know why I'd be hoping for it.
No, I know.
She proceeds to get out a female Cobra, a girly Cobra.
That was it. Like, the moment the pink sock came out, it was like,
Yeah. And then I imagine your head was in your hands the same way mine was.
Yeah.
I can't believe they're running this with Emma.
That was crazy. No, do you know what? That wasn't the worst part. It was the fact that she won with that.
Yeah.
And then what happened afterwards, which was essentially the hand fucking.
Yeah, hand fucking on Raw. That's it.
It's just like it was. Oh God, just.
Yeah, maybe they'll do a love triangle. You know, maybe with the Cobra and Mr. Socko.
I don't. Oh, with Socko. Okay, I was just going. I went in completely the different and saw the worst. Yeah. I don't want to know about the relationship with Santino in his right hand.
Yeah. It's probably been a few dirty places, shall we say. Playing his trumpet, some would say, maybe.
But that was terrible.
Yeah, it was. It was bad. And you know that they're not ready to give this up. They probably patting themselves on the back thinking, oh, we're doing such a great job. And then we're just sitting there thinking, just put her against Emma or put her against Paige already. Come on, just give us that rival match. Then people are going to take this girl seriously. But at the moment, it's just like, oh, she's this ditzy girl who we don't know if she can wrestle.
Look how funny she is. But at least they started doing the. Everyone was doing the dance.
Yeah, maybe that's getting over. But I mean, it's like Bad News Barrett, isn't it? We were saying that guy was going nowhere until he started getting into the ring and having long, good matches. It's like the hidden secret to wrestling, and to get fans to cheer for you if you're a face, or even get them to respect you as a heel, is to have long, good matches. There you go. Yeah. That's it. That's the tidbit of information. But
so
yeah, there's just nothing here for Emma or Layla. But
no.
There you go. We could say about this until the cows come home, but unfortunately, I don't see this getting any better for her. I think that she's going to be locked in this for a long time, possibly past the point of her actually. You know, I'm still sure that she'll get like a Divas title run or something eventually down the line, but this isn't going to be a part of her career that's going to. Yeah. She ain't going to talk about this part of her career in a Hall of Fame speech if she ever gets there, sort of thing. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
So John Cena was interviewed by Renee Young. And he says the usual crap that he uses about fans have the right to choose. He doesn't mind because they have the free right, and that's always what he respects about them. And what I would actually like him to say, what any reasonable person would say, would be like, just don't be dicks. Like, come on, help me out here, because that's what. Yeah. Come on, who in their own right mind just says if they want to vote 3 people against me, that's okay. That's their choice. It's like,
yeah, I'll fight 3 people. It's okay. It's like, really?
The fans have voted for me to be raped by a giant yeti. Awesome.
If that's what they want.
Maybe we could do a vote for him to jump off a cliff. Maybe that would. Maybe would he do it? That's the actual thing. I mean, everyone says if someone told you to jump off a cliff, would you do it? Would John Cena do it if they voted for it on the app for it?
Maybe.
Our question of the week to our listeners: do you think John Cena? What could you get John Cena to do on an app vote? And you think that he'd actually do it and just go crazy?
Anything.
Yeah. Just make up some awesome stuff, and if it's good and I like it, I'll put it on the podcast next time. So there you go. That's our listeners.
Something for you guys.
Something for you guys. Give us something crazy that John Cena can get voted to do on the app. Along the lines of being raped by a giant yeti. So I think you would take a yeti dick, wouldn't you? I think you would. I think you would take a yeti dick.
Well, he already take Vince's, and apparently Vince's. I'm just thinking back to the old DX days. And it's I am a sizable. Oh dear.
The family juice, shall we say?
That's it.
We're descending into dark places in the podcasting world.
Dark places of WWE's history, which they wish you'd forget.
Yeah, that's it. So, moving swiftly on, away from Yeti penises and Vince McMahon's juice. Cesaro had a match against Rob Van Dam, and oh god, I don't know if you picked this up, Cesaro's music is fucking horrible, is it not?
I skipped it. I was sort of skipping through because I was watching on TV, and I was like, oh, skip the adverts. And then before I knew it, they were already pretty much at the ring, and I couldn't actually hear the music. Yeah, I missed the music entirely, completely.
Okay, I'm going to tell you now. It sucks.
Okay,
I've
heard.
The Real American theme had everyone they even had on the Raw after WrestleMania. People are actually doing the fandangoing it in a way. You know what I mean? They were singing along with it. It's bad. It really is.
Oh,
and I don't know if you caught as well that Paul Heyman came out and basically gave one line to Cesaro and decided to speak in great length about how Brock Lesnar broke the streak.
I'm so sick of this. I'm actually done with this. I'm actually it was sort of I'm starting to not like you, Heyman.
It's at a point. I know it's early days with the Heyman Cesaro thing, but actually having Cesaro affiliated with Heyman is now hurting Cesaro. At the moment. I'm sure it won't eventually, but if they keep on making him waffle on about Brock Lesnar, and we said this is the problem, how Brock Lesnar be the one to break the streak. They feel like they have to have Paul Heyman do this every week to remind people, because obviously Brock Lesnar's not there to do it himself.
That's it. I was just make it stop.
Yeah. They also cut away midway through his promo and then came back at the end of his promo, which seemed
apparently
during
the adverts, he was going on about Punk.
Yeah, he didn't say CM Punk, but he made a reference to him. Yeah, so
yeah. It's probably along the lines of one of my previous clients couldn't beat the streak, but my client Brock Lesnar could beat it.
Yeah,
Brock Lesnar did it. Brock Lesnar did it. Brock Lesnar did it. Oh, please, just Paul, go away. Brock Lesnar did it.
It's got to take a lot for us to say Paul, go away. But if he's going to be the manager for Cesaro, every single time he's out there, he has to be talking about Cesaro. That's the way it has to be. And because WWE now have backed themselves into a thing that they've given the streak to a part-timer, they have to keep reminding. They almost they're like, right, this awesome thing that we've given to someone, but he's not here to actually sell it. So we just get Paul Heyman to go out there and just keep saying it over and over again, and it's making us not want to see Paul Heyman. One of the best promo givers they've got in the company. So I know Paul Heyman can weave magic, but he's certainly not doing it at the moment. So there you go. I think that's the first for our podcast. We have actually said something bad about Paul Heyman.
That's probably it.
Breaking ground there, Matt.
Considering a lot of the time we generally just go, Paul Heyman came out and it was gold.
No, it wasn't this week. Sure, there you go. That's if we ever get big in this whole podcasting thing, then that'll be a question in our future Q&A. Where was the first one where we actually criticised Paul Heyman? There you go. This is the one. Episode 22.
Yeah, have we ever criticised him?
Exactly. In the actual match, it was fine, I guess. But basically, Swagger came down midway and distracted and attacked Cesaro long enough for RVD to get the count-out victory. Looked like Cesaro was going to attack Zeb Coulter, and then he does the big swing on Swagger. Obviously building up to probably a match between these guys at Extreme Rules. I probably think that probably will be it at Extreme Rules. Would you say they have a match at Extreme Rules?
I guess so.
Yeah.
It's gonna drag on. But then apparently they're having a match on SmackDown, so I don't know.
I did see that. I don't know what else you can do.
We'll see.
Yeah, I don't know what else you could do with Cesaro, and like Extreme Rules isn't a huge event. There is space for a match like this, so
Yeah.
you could do that, and it gives like a manager versus manager sort of thing. So we'll see how it goes anyway. And obviously, this is the first time in like we've ever done Let's Talk Wrestling that actually takes place before SmackDown airs, so we can't really say anything. Obviously, it has been recorded, we just don't know the results yet. So, with that, fair enough. Rob Van Dam goes through. You'd expect it after Bad News Barrett going through. They weren't going to have two heels go against each other. So I expect Bad News Barrett to win the tournament because you're not going to have Big E go against Rob Van Dam. I just don't see that happening. So
nah, not at all.
I see Barrett against Big E, and then I expect Big E probably to retain. So that's the way it's probably going to go.
Yeah.
Anyway. Would you expect the same, or do you think Barrett will get a victory?
I don't know. I'd like to see Barrett win, take the whole way.
Yeah, we'll see.
We'll see.
I think
see how it builds up.
I think they still want to keep Big E as the champion, but I don't think it's completely out of the realm of possibility that he win. That Barrett would win. So yeah, well, close to the time, maybe the way they book it from here on out, we'll see how it goes.
That's it. Matter of time.
They've been booking Barrett very strongly recently, so kudos to them. So backstage anyway, after this match, RVD and Heyman with Cesaro were there, and they're having what I thought was quite the amusing back and forth, because it was essentially a big reference to ECW, because RVD made a reference to not trusting Heyman with your money in your house because he had a lot of unreliable payments to his talent back in the ECW days. And he probably owes a few paychecks to people now, but you'd much rather not reference them, you know. So I thought that was quite funny anyway from ECW.
Yeah, it was a good little touch.
You being the ECW fan that you are, I know you've got many of their DVDs, so
I was just like, good.
Yeah, I did see at Easter as well, quite the sacrilegious picture of Sandman being put up on the cross, you know. Happy Easter, everyone. My Catholic wife did not like that one bit, but
but there we go.
Yeah. So the second Divas match of the night, we actually got two on this show, which seems quite rare. But the better one of the two, regardless. Paige against Axana. When I actually first saw this match, I was worried for two reasons. One was saying that Axana doesn't exactly have a great track record in terms of injuring people on TV. Yeah. So I thought she might injure Paige, which would be the worst thing for her.
Yeah, that would be a terrible thing to happen.
And two, it's Axana, so it probably ain't going to be a good match. It wasn't.
The thing is, like, whenever I see Axana, all I think is, oh look, it's Slutty McSlut.
With the really cheesy entrance music.
The way, the really cheesy entrance, like the attire and just like everything. It's just like, she took dick to get where she is, and she probably asked. Like, we don't need to have sex with you to get you the job. It's like, but I want it.
That's what I heard. Yeah, remember, like, she was involved for like 2 years in the storyline with Teddy Long. You know, that was pretty much all she was on TV for. It's really odd that she's having matches every now and then, but she's just another diva on the roster that Paige can get a victory over, and they don't exactly have many heel divas on the roster, so
yeah,
that's another one that she can get another victory over, and she does here. It wasn't as good of a match as it was against Alicia Fox last week. I mean, the match itself wasn't amazing last week, but it was good. I enjoyed it. Not so much.
Match. I actually enjoyed this match.
You enjoyed this match. I'm digging on it a bit too much, really, because I think now my expectations are being risen through Paige matches, because they're alright.
Yeah.
Certainly a rise from what we're used to. So
that's it. I wouldn't say it's good, but I think Divas matches are getting better.
Yeah, all the matches involving Paige have been highly watchable. So,
yeah.
You can only expect when she gets in the ring with someone like Tamina that she can really knock that one out of the park. A few notices that I said here, that the commentators just seem to have like a fascination with the fact that she has pale skin. Like,
yeah, but they do that with Sheamus.
I know, but like, she's still a really attractive woman, and so what's the point of?
She made Oksana look black.
Yeah, but like, it doesn't matter that she's pale. I don't know why they do this all the time. They just keep referencing it over and over and over again. It's a little bit like, okay, we get it. She has pale skin. She's not of, she hasn't spent her life on like fucking, with the heat that you get over in America. I don't know if you've been over to England, guys, our American listeners, but it ain't hot over here. You know what I mean?
That's it.
So
it's just like, especially considering like you've got JBL, and it's like well known. Oh, so I'm about to say it's well known that JBL lives in, and then I've just completely forgotten the name. he lives in the Caribbean.
Yeah.
That long.
In a
So
very
it's just
sunny
like,
place, regardless.
That's it. It's like, well, if I'm not here, and then I'm just going to be on the beach.
Yeah.
And it's just like, or a lot of people, it's just like, you got, like Jerry the King, it's like, Texan and all that sort of stuff. And it's like, known to be hot states.
Yeah.
And it's just like, you ever been to England? Yeah. They have like three months of winter and then a cold period or something like that.
And then there's like a weekend of summer.
Great.
Yeah.
As a fella, as a Brit, I do not appreciate this.
Yeah. I mean, what we get. I live in Ireland and you live in England, but like we still get the same sort of thing. Like basically, there's a weekend where we get summer, and everyone tries to make the most of it. It's like, okay, it's summer. Let's get out. Let's just do everything we can in this weekend because we won't have any more sun. That's how it is over here.
That's it. Break out the barbecue or we'll miss it.
Do it quickly before it passes and winter comes back again. So
that's it. Yeah. 5 minutes later.
Oh, we missed it. Oh well. So yeah, the more that Paige wrestles, the more confident she seems in the ring, which is part of her development of being a character on Raw. So she beat Oksana a lot more comfortably than she beat Alicia Fox last week. So I said last week that they're going to do the build up with her and make her beat people more convincingly, and the more she goes forward. And then she goes against what you would expect to be a tough opponent in Tamina, and I reckon those two could have a great match if they're given time. So fingers crossed. They're doing right by one of the NXT divas they brought up, at least.
That's it.
So here's hoping that we could do that. Are you expecting the Tamina match to be a good one?
I'd like to think the Tamina match is going to be a good one.
The amount of times we've got our hopes up and had it dashed, but come on, this has to be different now. This is Paige. This is the new era of women's wrestling. Come on,
That's it. We're talking like the youngest WWE Divas champion.
Yeah.
And the up and coming and all things like that. We can't. Don't ruin it for us.
Come on. She can do it. Just give her time.
That's it. Especially considering like you're talking about a year ago, even though it was only like one or two, and there's only ever little small signs, but like people have been wanting Paige up on the main roster for a long time.
Yeah, because
and it's not like they can just go, yep, here she is. And we've ruined it for you.
I think the way they've done it so far is fine. I don't have a problem with it. What I did have a problem with her first coming out with AJ and being all, I'm not ready and stuff, because in NXT she's just very much almost like barbaric. She's very much, I'm going to beat you up. That's how it's going to be. And I would like her to be the same sort of character.
I don't know. You get like in NXT, like she still has that sort of mutual respect thing going on. It's just like.
Yeah.
But when it comes down to it, if you want to step in the ring with me, I'm not going to help.
Yeah, like she's a competitor first and a diva second, and that's the way that that's how she differentiated herself around a lot of the other talent. So I reckon that she's mellowed out a lot in comparison to her NXT days, the way that her character is in WWE. But I would like it eventually to turn back to the way it was in NXT, because I think that's gold. Having basically a warrior, that she is, and she goes out there and she wrestles. Yeah.
I want to know who does her entrance music.
I know. They changed her music recently. I don't know who does it, but I know that that music that she has was the one that she debuted on Arrival.
Yeah.
It's actually quite a new entrance music that she's using, but I like it. It's quite good.
Yeah.
Certainly better than Xana's music, but it's so cheesy, isn't it? It's just. Rusev went against Sin Cara. We were wrong. We thought that if you beat Xavier Woods, you get a match with R-Truth. Normally that's the case, but apparently now you get a handicap match with them at a pay-per-view. So
yeah,
careful. If anyone accidentally trips over and pins Woods for three seconds, you're going to go against R-Truth, and that's the way it is. WWE law. That's the way it goes.
That's it. You pick on the little guy, you're going to get the big one.
That's it. Yeah.
The sort of slightly bigger guy.
Maybe Xavier Woods is having sex, and his other half is on top for 3 seconds. Then R-Truth's come in. They have to have a match. That's the way it is. That's WWE law. That's the way it happens now. So,
that's it.
So if that happens, then then maybe Xavier Woods will have to call his mama. So the way it goes. Anyway, Rusev against Sin Cara, this was essentially a squash match, even though Sin Cara did get some offensive.
Some offensive, and some good offensive as well.
But, come on, we knew he wasn't going to win this match. He's come.
Oh, God.
Towards especially the latter stage of this match, it was basically a trouncing from Rusev. And there was nothing to do with Woods and R-Truth. They weren't here to attack him or try and stop him from attacking Sin Cara. They weren't even on the show, so just more Rusev being Rusev and Lana being Lana.
Rusev crush.
Ravishing ravishing Russian Lana. Yep. So maybe we can get you to do next week a Lana, impression. Maybe that would. Nemanja!
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
That's pretty much it.
The barbarian brute!
Now all we have to do is get you the red dress. We're fine. We're set. Oh dear. Okay. This is essentially it. They're just going to build up Rusev more and more and more. They're going to give him essentially what I like to call the Brock Lesnar Ryback treatment, where they're just going to get him to go against loads of guys and beat them for the next couple of months. Yeah,
that's the only thing I was worried about when I sort of saw. And he's in a handicap match. It's like, oh dear.
Yeah. He's going to beat the pair of them. That's the way it's going to be. So.
Yeah.
John Cena went against all three members of the Wyatt family in the main event of the night.
As expected.
As we expected. Because why not? It's more interesting to have him on a 3 handicap match. We've seen him going against Luke Harper and everything, so whatever.
I kind of feel bad for Eric Rowan.
Why?
Because it's just like, at least Harper got 36%.
Yeah, it was nothing for him. 36%.
Yeah. The whole family got 56%, and there's Eric Rowan's I got 9.
Why no one liked me? It's probably Goat Musk, that's it. Even though that I knew this was voted, I knew they wouldn't let Cena lose clean. I just knew they wouldn't lose. And he didn't lose, he won by disqualification. So for what it matters, he did actually win. Cena wins.
BS! Oh, this is it. This is the third bullshit finish. I didn't mention it earlier when it came to Cesaro and RVD. That was the fastest count out ever.
He raced into that count out, didn't he?
It's literally
I forgot about it.
He's on the floor. 10. What?
Yeah.
And then it's just and then this was it. Break the that's it. Disqualified and all that lot. Why? Because
they broke up a pin.
They stopped the pin. What
Which is
tag teams do?
How many times have we seen that happen? And it probably happened.
Cena, you can't stop Cena's pin. Disqualification.
It probably even happened in that Ryback's Brotherhood versus Usos match. It probably happened there, but oh no, they stopped it, so DQ.
That's it.
WWE likes to change their rules when it suits them sometimes. Sometimes it's a little bit silly. This match itself was fine though. It was okay. It was a watchable match. There was enough to
Cena
it. Cena
getting beat up. I'm happy with it.
Yeah, Cena got enough offense in there, and it looked like he was going to win the match. And obviously the DQ from nowhere. Yeah. And then at the end, with Cena laid out, Wyatt decided to.
Right.
Yes. I've actually missed something here because beforehand they had a promo where it was basically karaoke time with Bray Wyatt. If you remember that. And this set up obviously this section here that he started singing his song. He's got the whole world in his hands and all.
I think it's quite funny considering he was holding Cena.
Yeah, giving him the whole cradling thing. So
that's it, and it's sort of as far as the WWE is concerned, he is their whole world.
Yeah. Oh, so cute. Yeah. Expect him to as a father, I'm expecting him to get a bottle out and start feeding Cena, But yeah, it was fine. It sets up the whole stuff that they're talking about Bray Wyatt's taking the fans away and they're starting to sing and stuff like this. But you would think that if they actually had this all set up, it seems like this is the rivalry they were building up to, and WrestleMania was just a stepping stone to it, which just seems completely off to me. But fair enough. Still cage match with these guys at Extreme Rules. I think it'll be good. Yeah, I think it'll be good. Overall, I have to give a thumbs down to this Raw, and the reason being, it's the first Raw for a while to make me sway from the TV on numerous times. So, a lot of the Raws before I've been genuinely invested. There was a few times in this I was just okay, I'm watching, but I'm kind of not at the same time. I'll go and do something while I'm watching it, sort of thing.
On in the background,
Yeah. And partly I think it's maybe because I knew the fact that Bryan wasn't going to be involved in the latter stage of it. And you can say last week Bryan wasn't even on the show, but I think it still was a better show. But yeah, this Raw, it was okay, but I can't really pinpoint anything that actually made me sway from it, but I did. That's the most important thing. I wasn't that enthused this week. And from talking to you beforehand, you were the same, weren't you? You watched the first bit of it and you kind of...
I had to catch up. Like I've spent the past hour before we started recording just shit, finish watching Raw.
Which is partly because of the episode and partly because we're recording so much earlier than we usually do.
Yeah. It's I usually get through quite a lot more before. I usually sort of watch some and then leave it a little bit and then watch the rest of it and then leave it before recording.
The way that we normally try and do it is I watch it at the beginning of the week, you watch it roughly towards the end, and that way we've got both sort of... I've had a few days to think about the stuff and it's still raw in your mind, and that way we make a big podcast out of it. But yeah.
But no, I sort of kind of struggled with it.
Yeah, I did as well. But it's that infamous in-month slump that Raw has, and they always have a slump after WrestleMania as well. But there is still reasons to watch this show. So, the Bad News Barrett Sheamus match of the week was very, very good. And there was just a few things that you would be good enough to take your time to watch. But I think the show as a whole was...
I think it's because that match was the highlight of the night.
And it would never got to those heights again, did it really?
But that was right at the beginning. That was, first match.
Yeah.
But then you also had that 20 minutes of just bore, which was Kane attacking Daniel Bryan. It's just I know WWE did it. It's try and get some sort of emotional response out of the crowd. But it's I'm just sat on my sofa just
yeah, we get it. He's been annihilated. They could have done one tombstone on the steel steps and got that over, but they're trying to build him up as this monster, and I guess they decided to go full whack. But no, I'm with you with this. There was just, for every moment that was good on this show, there was moments like Paul Heyman just blabbering on about Brock Lesnar breaking
my client.
Do you think maybe he has dreams and he wakes up people that's sleeping next to him? He just wakes up and says, he broke the streak. We can't.
Yeah, you just next to just Heyman just laying asleep dying.
Broke the streak. Eat, sleep, break the streak. That's it. And he sleepwalks, and the only thing he does when he sleepwalks is go and turn on his tape of WrestleMania 13. It's just the bit where it breaks the streak.
That's it.
That's how it seems at the moment. But yeah, hopefully, I say hopefully, you're going to get it every single time that, even when Brock is on TV, they're just going to keep referencing it over and over and over again. So
I hope it stops.
Yeah. And soon as well, because it's damaging Cesaro. Cesaro's actually, I think, lost some of his momentum since teaming with Heyman, which, he's only been with him for a couple of weeks, so I can't really say much.
The thing I found quite odd, actually, is when Swagger and Colton made the interference, and you still had quite a very strong "We the People" chant.
Yeah. Because they were over with that theme song and the whole gimmick.
I was under the impression it was just solely because Cesaro.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think Cesaro was a huge part of getting that over. And for him to lose, I think what they should have done is, I know, it was the Real Americans entrance music, but you can still do it. I would have given him that entrance music and given them something else, maybe another entrance music, because that entrance music was over. It really was. Yeah. You could have that tied to Cesaro for forever. But his new entrance music is just sucks. It really does. It's not going to get fans getting out their seats when they hear it. That's the problem.
I guess I'll try and find it.
Yeah. So that's our Raw review for this week. I hope you guys did enjoy that anyway. I don't know how many more weeks. I think there's still quite a while actually until Extreme Rules. There's been a few big gaps between the actual main events, so be our topic next week and our predictions probably after that. That's probably the way it probably.
It's not this Sunday after.
Oh, so next Raw is the final Raw leading up to
Extreme
Rules?
I think so.
Okay, then in which case next week will be our predictions. However, this week we have our Superstar Spotlight, which we booted down a couple of weeks in respect of Ultimate Warrior. We did the Superstar Spotlight on him.
We did.
This week we're doing it on Daniel Bryan.
Yes.
So yeah, our spotlight for this week is Daniel Bryan. Obviously, giving him after his big win at WrestleMania 30, it just seems right to kind of look over his career. Even though it's not really the end of his career, he's got a lot more left in him. But there's going to be a lot to talk about in regards to that. So this is like part one of his superstar spotlight, and a couple of years down the line we could do another one. So, as you know, Matt, Daniel Bryan's real name is Bryan Danielson, which I find quite funny. He picked the name Daniel Bryan going into WWE because he got a list of names, and that was just one that seemed closest to his real name, which he wanted to use. So I think that's quite ironic. I thought it was quite a nice tidbit. But he started his career, and a lot of you already know this because they referenced it all over WWE. He started his career being taught by Shawn Michaels in his Texas Wrestling Alliance. Setup that he had back in those days in 1999. He basically learned his craft there, and he was sort of learned how to, as any wrestler starts to, how to take his bumps, how to perform a good technical match, and he got into things pretty quickly.
And to be perfectly honest, you're not going to get anyone better to teach a technical match.
Well, Shawn Michaels is a good technical wrestler. I mean, I think you can still get better.
Okay, I take that. I do mean that wrong.
I do think
there are better technical wrestlers, but I think for sure to put on a show as a technical.
Yeah, I fully agree with you. It's all well and good being a technical wrestler, but to be able to translate that into looking good on TV, Shawn Michaels was very good at doing that, and he was a great showman. I think he's the overall package that a lot of wrestlers should aspire to, and I know that Daniel Bryan did. So. He actually was signed to a WWE development contract very early in his career. He was assigned to Memphis Championship Wrestling.
Yep.
Back then, it wasn't like NXT now or FCW, which they had more recently before they changed to NXT developmental. They had lots of different lots of different areas that they sent their developmentals to, and Memphis was one of them. So. They basically had a contract with these other companies, and then they would send their talent to them to wrestle and then bring them up when they thought they were ready. But they changed all that so they have more creative control over who they want to bring up now, which is better on WWE, but obviously not helpful to a lot of these other companies. It was during this time that he started getting tutored by William Regal, and you know that recently him and William Regal had a few matches together. Because they obviously know each other very well, and there was a lot of respect between the two. He also adopted the moniker of the American Dragon, which will follow him all the way through his career. So he started that during this time. Nice little tidbit of information. Before he wrestled John Cena to win his first WWE Championship at SummerSlam, he wrestled him near on 10 years prior to John Cena on WWE television. Did you know this?
I didn't know.
Yeah, he actually wrestled John Cena on TV, and he lost, but it was obviously because he was a... like one of these random guys that shows up back then, it's Daniel Bryan or Bryan Danielson as he was back then.
One of those ones, yeah.
Yeah, so he was just one of these guys that they threw out there just because they had him, not even thinking of it. But yeah, considering how huge both these guys, I mean, John Cena wasn't huge back then either. So considering how huge both these guys were getting and go on and actually main event SummerSlam together, quite interesting they actually wrestled each other that early in their careers. He quickly, though, however, severed ties with WWE, essentially. They kind of had nothing for him. They actually cancelled the contract with Memphis Championship Wrestling, so they weren't even taking any talent from there anymore. So anything that he had with WWE going forward from there was stopped. And he went to... That's where he started flirting with Japan.
Yep.
Japan Pro Wrestling. I know that place really influenced a lot of his wrestling style in the ring. Very... stiff, strong, quick wrestling, which you would see from a lot of guys that came from and wrestled in Japan.
A lot very kick heavy as well.
Yeah, that incorporates martial arts into it and stuff like that. And I always think that wrestlers that spend at least a little bit of time in Japan will always benefit them because it's such a different style of wrestling, and the crowds over there are way different than they are in America. And even in England. They will give you the respect that you have if you have a good technical match, even if your character is one that's hated. They will applaud you for having a good match because they respect the technical aspects more than we would over here.
Yeah.
So being good in the ring was far better than looking good in the ring, sort of thing. You know what I mean? Over in Japan. He also started then. In 2002, started what would be for him a very long and successful run in Ring of Honor, back when they were basically starting up. Yeah. He was wrestling with the likes of Christopher Daniels, which we know of now, low key. Austin Aries, that we know now. He had an 80-minute match with him that was very well known. 80 minutes, man.
Crazy to think,
A
isn't it?
lot of matches, a lot of stuff done in 80 minutes. He won the Ring of Honor World Title in 2005, so that was 3 years after he started there. He started having programs with Samoa Joe and Chris Hero. Yet again, other people that we know. When Chris Hero was released from WWE recently, you would know him as Cassius Ohno.
Yep.
So just think of the matches that Bryan and Hero could have had if Chris Hero was still with the company. So still. Bit of a shame that they don't never had those matches, or even him against Samoa Joe. That would be a good match, but I doubt that'll ever happen.
So, yeah, we would have had. Well, there's ones that I've seen. I haven't watched myself. I've seen pictures and stills of Bryan Danielson against who we now know as Seth Rollins.
Yeah, exactly.
Old Punk, original Punk, and all things like that. Yeah. So
a lot of the guys that came. I mean, ROH, Ring of Honor. I've done a lot of. I've built up a lot of good guys that WWE have made a lot of money on. These guys. From Ring of Honor, and they. I hate to say it because any Ring of Honor fan would hate me for saying it, but they're sort of like an unofficial breeding ground for future WWE talent, sort of thing.
Yeah.
Not so much anymore because they've got NXT now, but back then it seemed like anyone, if you managed to get yourself a big star in Ring of Honor, then you at least had a chance in WWE.
That's it. When you get spotted that way.
Yeah. And I mean, he had a lot of very 5-star matches in his time with Ring of Honor. He spent a lot of time there, about 9 years that he spent in Ring of Honor. That's a lot of time. So he then went forwards with WWE. He signed with them again into what we know as the inaugural season of the NXT, almost like game show series. You remember back then, Wade Barrett and Ryback was there as well. Heath Slater, Justin Gabriel, all these guys were on the first season of NXT, and it essentially was a game show gimmick. They had little challenges, like they had challenges where they had like an obstacle course, loads of garbage. You know what I mean? Then they had the mentors back then. Daniel Bryan's
stuck with the Miz.
Was stuck with the Miz, yeah, which wasn't exactly ideal. He did, however, have very good matches. He lost all of them in NXT. He lost, I think, 10 matches, and he won one, which wasn't even a singles match. I don't even think that was on NXT. I think it was like on another show. So his win ratio on NXT was abysmal. It really was bad. But I think the match that actually gave him a lot of light was he had a match with Chris Jericho, who was then actually the World Heavyweight Champion.
Yep.
So, to have a new guy come up and actually go against what was then the World Champion back when the World Championship meant something, that was pretty big, and he had
a way of sort of prove yourself as well.
Yeah, he had a really good match with Chris Jericho, and that put him in the map. People started to look at him then. He still was eliminated as the first guy in NXT, but as we know, it didn't really matter when you were eliminated from NXT. The plan was for you to be part of the Nexus.
Yes.
And he was, for one night only. Because what he did, when the Nexus attacked, and they basically tore up the ring in that really infamous segment, really good segment, I really enjoyed it.
They attacked Cena and just tore the place apart.
That's it. Daniel Bryan, however, decided to... I mean, he went all out. I mean, you got to think, he wrestled at Ring of Honor. He had no restrictions beforehand. He could do what he wanted in course of making something look good. He decided that he was going to strangle Justin Roberts with a tie, with his own tie, essentially.
Yes.
Looked brutal, it really did. However, Vince McMahon did not like it at all. It was really un-PG. They actually got letters wrote in saying that, of complaints about it. So WWE fired the pistol off early, even though they didn't tell him not to do that. They said go out there and just wreck stuff. So he did exactly what they told him to do. They fired him. It wasn't a work that he came back later. He was fired. He was gone from the company, and if you look at anything before, any of the interviews involved in that, he was fired. As far as he knew, back then, Daniel Bryan was dead, and Bryan Danielson would be
in a night.
In a night. And he was gone, and that was it. So it seemed like any dreams that he had of being champion of WWE were all gone. It was like, if you look back then, any sort of signs of him main eventing WrestleMania 30 were very bleak. You know what I mean? But he did, in fact, come back. WWE did re-sign him. He came back and joined Team WWE to fight, ironically, Team Nexus, and part of a winning team in that. He went on to rival against The Miz, who obviously was one of the guys in NXT that made things hard for him, and won the United States title. This is when he started using the label lock, which is we now know as the no lock.
Yes, lock.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, and the S lock. Yeah,
Not the no lock.
not the low lock. I don't know. He changes the name of it so often.
Is he face or heel?
Yeah, essentially. Yeah, that's what he will change the name to as it goes on from there. But after that, however, I mean, those matches he had with Miz were okay, I guess, and he had like a triple threat match with John Morrison and the Miz, which I remember because he jumped off like John Morrison jumped off like the actual Hell in the Cell stage bit, which is one of the more wackier things he did.
Yes.
One thing he did do, however, this is in the year that Undertaker went against Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania. So what you would think was match of the year, and it did get match of the year. And rightly so, it was a phenomenal match. It was one of your favourite matches of all time there, Matt.
And it is.
Daniel Bryan had a champion versus champion match, a US title against Intercontinental title match against Dolph Ziggler. And this match was so good that people were actually thinking of giving this the match of the year over Undertaker and Shawn Michaels. That's how good this match was between Dolph Ziggler and Daniel Bryan that year. So if you want to look at one early matches before he
for match quality, I'd say yes.
Yeah, for actual in-ring, like actual, I mean, it's hard to actually, if you watch them both back-to-back, for epicness, you have to go with Undertaker, Shawn Michaels. But if you take everything, the streak out of that, if you take all the storyline out of both of them, and just take the matches for what they are, then you've got to pick Daniel Bryan and Dolph Ziggler. It was an amazing match. And Daniel Bryan's had some really good matches, but this is really one that you look to and say, if any fans have thought that this guy could be something really good, that was the match really that you thought, wow, this guy could main event pay-per-views and give us what we need and what we want. He did go forward and he won Money in the Bank. His whole stuff when he won the Money in the Bank, this is obviously when he started dating AJ as well, was that he wasn't going to cash it in until WrestleMania. He did actually cash it in before WrestleMania.
He was going to be the good guy about it.
That's it, yeah. He won the belt by cashing it on Big Show, who had been trying to help him win the belt against Mark Henry. So it was this that he kind of turned into a heel, and this is where the yes chant started. So if you want to know where the yes chant started, this was where it happened. The night after he won the belt, or even the night that he won the belt, he started shouting yes over and over and over again with the belt, and he would come down sideways down the ramp shouting yes, yes, yes as he came down, and it was actually a heel thing for him to do. It came off as obnoxious, ironically, because now it's like the biggest face chant that they've got.
But it wasn't originally meant to be so. No,
and people disliked him for doing the yes stuff, and they didn't jump on the yes bandwagon for a very long time. It was only until really he had like a match against Sheamus, the infamous 18-second match where he got bro kicked, lost the belt in 18 seconds. The night afterwards, the fans, because they felt bad for the guy not really having a show, and you got to remember that his WrestleMania the year before was a dark match. It was the pre-match, which wasn't even like I think it was like on a pre-show. You could watch it, but the pre-match is the pre-match of WrestleMania. You want to be on the card, and I've seen interviews with him where he was said that him and Sheamus were just so gutted that they got relegated to the pre-show. But this match, 18 seconds long. I wasn't happy. I thought these guys could go a lot longer. Obviously, a lot longer than 18 seconds. We know they can do better than that. And they have had matches between each other, and they've been good. But the night afterwards, everyone started chanting yes along with him. And after the show, which is actually some of the footage that they put on recently on the Journey to WrestleMania, the Daniel Bryan one on the network, which I managed to catch as well. He spoke to the crowd afterwards, and he was very sort of appreciative that they're all chanting yes. And he said, ironically, maybe you've given them an idea for a new T-shirt for me. Which now the yes, yes, yes shirts are selling like hotcakes. Now he's a huge face. He didn't get there that quickly. He started doing the nose because obviously he was heel then. They were kind of playing off the fact that everyone was saying yes. And he joined with Kane for Team Hell No, for all the great Dr. Shelby moments that me and Matt would grow to love.
Definitely.
There's some of the funniest stuff, just random and everything that they've done, and especially the most comedic that Bryan has ever been in his WWE stint.
Easily.
Yeah.
Well, it's just like, don't forget, Tony, I am the tag team champions.
No, I
No, I am the tag team champion.
No, Matt.
You don't understand this.
No.
I am the tag team champion.
It's quite funny that you think you're the tag team champions, but you're not actually the tag team champions, because I am the
Okay.
Anyway,
I'm the tag team champion.
yeah, so that's where that whole spiel came about. They were almost like the tag team that didn't want to be a tag team, but they won the belts and went on a very good run with the belts as well. But when the time came to break up, it was because it was ready and it was time for Daniel Bryan to become a world champion. It was time for him to be WWE champion. And they broke up, and it wasn't soon after they broke up that John Cena named him as his opponent at SummerSlam. We're coming into quite recently now. This is last year.
That's it.
And he did. He beat John Cena clean. Clean, no issues with his flying knee the first night that he used it. And he won the belt. And this was the night that the WrestleMania 30 storyline began. With him being screwed over by the Authority. And it all culminates to WrestleMania 30, which only happened a couple of weeks ago, where he beat the Authority and he won the belt, and is actually having his first proper title reign as champion. And he is now, without a doubt, I'd say even more so than Cena now, the biggest face that they have, the guy that they get the biggest crowd response from.
The fact that anyone can turn around and say, "Oh, but he's not as good as," it's like, no, I will not hear that.
Yeah. He is a phenomenal wrestler. He's spent a lot of years in lots of different companies, against a lot of really talented wrestlers to hone his craft, and the amount of different people that he's had 5-star matches with is impressive.
Oh, that's it.
And he earned.
And he's always been able to pull out a good match as well.
Yeah. I mean, I still say that his match against Bray Wyatt, if you're looking for singles matches in terms of matches of the year, that takes the cake for me this year. Bryan versus Wyatt at Royal Rumble. I thought that was a fantastic match of those two, and a really good program built up around them as well.
Very short-lived.
What the actual? Yeah, they rushed it, didn't they? Because they kind of changed their mind and they wanted to give Bryan the title win at Mania. So, yeah, they. In terms of match quality, he's got a little bit of Bret Hart in him, I think, because he can have a good match with almost anyone out there on the roster.
I agreed with that.
And I still think that this guy, I know he's been around, he's been wrestling now for a while. You know, he spent a lot of years in Ring of Honor and other places, and even WWE spent a few years there now. I still think this guy's got a lot of time left, and he's got a lot of time to have many, many more WrestleMania main events. So
easily. There's no way we can actually consider the fact that it's like, we'll only see him for about 2 more years. It's like, that's just negative thinking, and it's a lie.
No. The way that this guy wrestles is he wrestles stiff, but he wrestles safe. So yeah. It's like I said, it's almost like he's got a bit of Bret Hart about him. Bret Hart was his moves looked impactful, but he never injured anyone. Bret Hart never injured anyone throughout his entire career, and I don't know if obviously Daniel Bryan has or not, but he's one of those guys that I would feel a lot safer than the majority of the roster taking a slam from him or taking any of these moves.
Oh, that's it.
So there you go, Superstar Spotlight, and that's just the beginning, because I think this guy's going to go on to more stuff. So we'll see how it goes there from there. But the guy's made a pretty decent career out of himself from a guy that's very small and, you know, ideally not. I mean, he's smaller than CM Punk. You know what I mean? Like, and people think that CM Punk isn't the type of guy that WWE go for. So you got to think that doubly for Daniel Bryan. So he's done pretty well for himself anyway.
Oh, that's it. Nobody can say that he hasn't deserved anything.
And he's not exactly a guy that ruffles.
He's worked hard to get it all.
Yeah, he doesn't exactly burn any bridges to get where he is either. You know, no one's ever said anything bad about his demeanor or his, you know, done any underhanded tactics to get ahead of anyone. He's done things
pretty clean.
Yeah, essentially. And I imagine one of those guys in the back that takes great pride in his wrestling work. So yeah, that's our superstar spotlight for this week. If I go and try again, I'll get tongue-tied too much. That we postponed a lot of the time. If you guys got any guys that you think that you want to give us an idea to do Superstar Spotlight on, leave a comment. We'll definitely take that into consideration. Try and do it with someone that's at least not like, you know, like someone that's just started their career in WWE, because they ain't going to help us much. Like Fandango, really? Can we really do a spotlight on Fandango? I don't think so. So, you know what I mean?
I was about to say, what, on Kurt Hawkins? But that's not even the right guy.
It'd just be a lot of, well, he wasn't on Raw, so that's pretty much it.
Was it Kurt Hawkins?
We could probably name his entire...
What was his original one?
Kurt Hawkins.
It wasn't Kurt Hawkins.
What do you mean?
Fandango.
No, he was Johnny Curtis.
That's it.
Yeah, no, yeah, yeah. So when he was at NXT and all that lot, but so yeah, like I said, if you do have any ideas, just let us know anyway for that. But is there anything else you want to add for this week, Matt?
No, I've got nothing to add.
I think we're out of here. I think we're done.
Good.
So if you guys got any questions for the Let's Talk Wrestling podcast, anything you want to ask us, we'll answer it in our wrestling news section. Just after that, before the Raw review, that's where I think we're going to fit it in from future. So
yeah, try and cram it in that way. Yeah.
Then leave us a comment. We'd be more than happy to take that up. And if we are choosing your comment, then I may leave you a message in the comments just to let you know that we are going to do that, so you can be, definitely that we're going to answer it.
That's it. Rather than just sit there and wait.
Yeah, not that you wait for the podcast. I like to keep people in the loop. So, if you are new to the podcast, then why not subscribe to our channel? That way you won't miss any of the podcasts going forward. Like I said, this one's coming out a bit early, so if you subscribe, you won't miss it. That's it. And if you do feel like sharing, helping us out and getting the podcast to more people, share it out there. Leave a like on the video, and we really, really appreciate that if you give us a little bit of a helping hand. It's all over that social media business. And apart from that, though, we would like to thank you for taking the time out to listen to our podcast this week. We hope you did enjoy it, and we hope you have a great rest of the week. Anything else for us?
Can't say nothing else than that.
Exactly. All right, guys. Thanks a lot, and we'll see you again next week.
Sure.
Bye bye.